I will call the October 12th, 2023 special meeting of the Fairport Industrial Development Agency to order. The purpose of today's meeting is to discuss bids received for the North Main parking lot. We also will, Martha has attached for us on our agendas some financials information just so we know the status of the finances available from IDA. So everybody has received that and taken a look at the bids received. Do you have any questions? Engineers are here. That if you have questions regarding any of those bids, they are, the first thing that jumps out to us, they are over budget, over what the engineer's estimate was. And I think if we kind of extrapolate that, it's over what our initial thoughts were as we were getting into the project. Martha, do you have anything that you want to discuss or questions?
I'll agree that originally when I was following the cash flow, we had about 275 because our last project was 284. That was just a benchmark, but you can see on the cash balances, I've plugged in the estimate for the parking lot and the lighting, and that comes up to about 450.
Right, yeah, because that is the other part. We received the Fairport electric quote of $55,000 that goes on top of it. This does include the addenda.
Yes, the addenda for the private utility trenching we added in for FMC. Contractor do the trenching, remain work with the FMC.
But these numbers look any different in the spring?
The big thing that jumps out for our review of the summary, I'll just go with the low bidder, even LG Evans. The stripping of topsoil, earthwork component, and miscellaneous excavation, those numbers are higher than we anticipated. And I think the reason for that is these contractors are pretty standard. I've seen a number of cuts they need, a number of topsoil stripping. I think when they have unknown or not have a geotechnical report maybe that justifies what they're getting into, I think they throw a higher number on it. Those ones stick out for the low bidder on me. Like I said, those are higher than what we thought based on what we need to remove from the site based on their initial review. And another thing I think you see is this time of year for construction is always a challenge. I think the time restraint of putting an end date on it, which they all knew about, also reflects, I think, in some of the unit pricing. Coordination for pavement and concrete, which is a big item in this contract, you need the parking lot paved, and that is an item that they need to have in there. I think it's reflecting on that. Not that they can't get the work done, but it's just they're used to having a more open-ended schedule. So anything else, the rest of the work, that's typically what they do. We have a few contractors on here that we're not so familiar with for site work, and I think you see that in their prices. It's nothing that they do on a daily or yearly basis. So that was our quick 10,000 foot view of what we saw. The one thing with LG Evans is they made it clear in phone calls and stuff that they would be able to complete the work, and they already had asphalt and concrete contractors on board, which is a big.
They don't do their own. So.
Yeah, so it would be Heinz Concrete's their main sub for concrete, which does most of it in this area, and then they have paving. So that's a benefit, but that's
okay. But we are in the season where rain can set back and cold.
Correct.
And all that stuff can set back.
I would
Right. And one of the things with the spring contract, that doesn't mean you should go to bid in the spring necessarily. You might bid in February, so as contractors are filling their schedules for the coming season.
Correct.
Season.
Yeah.
The variable you mentioned in the portion of the bid, I forget exactly the phrasing you just used, but the part that's unknown with the geo aspect of it.
I think
Yeah, I've got a question about that. I just want to make sure we're on the same page when I'm summarizing it terribly. But the portion you mentioned where there is some variable that they may be a little heavy-handed with their bid because of the uncertainty around it. How much of the 390,000 falls into that category of their bid?
I would say roughly probably about 55,000 or so in it. If you look, I don't know if you have our estimate or their proposal, but item 401, 407, 410 are the 3 item numbers that stick out. Miscellaneous excavation, topsoil excavation, clear and grubbing. I think some of this, these contractors have a habit of waiting until last minute to submit it in the 23rd hour. So throwing a number at that, I think is just a high number. In our opinion, that if you move forward a contractor, I think you could sit back with an agreement prior to the agreement and have a discussion of what actually was determined by our findings in the field and everything to help adjust that a little bit. But I think they get nervous when they don't know exact numbers, like I'm supposed to take 12 inches of topsoil, I'm supposed to remove X number of yards. They get a little weary when they don't have those numbers. So,
but that was around 50 or 60.
Yeah, I think they're a little hesitant. That would be reduced.
Yeah, I think those numbers are typically, if a contractor has enough time in their mind to run an earthwork or do their own helps on that, they'll do that and you'll get a fine number. But maybe it could be just the turnaround to get the bid in. They just threw a number at it as a catch-all.
I think one of the other things is telling us, if you look at what the contractors that were solicited but did not return bids, did not provide bids, those are some of the key people in our area that do exactly this. Is it workload? Is it timing?
Based on my conversation with them all, most of it was current workload, just unable to get to it. Most of them all agreed, and that was a great point, that if the bid went out in January, February, as they normally do, to let these guys gauge their spring work, they would be, really definitely to provide a bid. That is, if you look at the list besides LG Evans, AEY, Victor Excavating, the other ones, typically aren't the contractors that perform this type of work. So that's why the numbers are.
Are you used to seeing prices coming in? What's your thoughts on?
Being able to look at the price and know, I don't have that, but and we currently, I think all these guys right now are just trying to get their current clients in that they already have had scheduled for a long time. Like we just did site clearing on one of our projects and we've been hounding them to get it done. And so to get a new job right now is probably just stressing everybody out. So I would say that if it's not a huge rush for us, that trying to get something done at this point seems like we're not doing it the most cost effective way. It is,
It is exactly what you said. They're throwing high numbers at it because they know it's going to be a huge headache to probably get it in. But if we really want it done, that's something to consider.
You know, there's the challenge that we have right now and the problems that we're having up there, and wait another 5 to 6 months for it to be done. You know, even 7, because it probably could be done before May. That's 7 months. How important, how valuable, how risky are those 7 months? And I
It's a good point, because we could, you know, if something goes to hell, weather, whatever, we could be left in the manageable part of it, you know, not even the existing condition. Worst case.
What are the challenges that we face? Is it because the gravel, because it's unfinished, it'll be unsafe to park there?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that happens is boxing out, right? And just the part that we were talking about, where they have to strip all that unknown quantity. Let's say they get that all boxed out and down to the ground, there is no more stone.
Right.
You know, if you're getting ready to put stone in, then all of a sudden you go through a week of rain, and this time of year, drying doesn't happen. Plus they like the cooler temperatures, and that ground just stays muddy.
Or if they start the work.
If they were stuck.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I think there's a risk if they start it and can't finish it. Is there a risk to leave it as is and go and wait to do the process in the spring?
other than the current existing pedestrian traffic issues up there. And that's what I'm referring to.
Right. Yeah.
I wasn't referring to the ground, the process of the project. But, you know, we've been scrambling to try and help find, you know, best way that OSED can contribute to the solution. And yeah, the numbers are higher. And everything is higher today.
Yeah.
That's also such a statement. So I don't know whether waiting or spending the 60,000 more than the estimate was.
Well,
Challenge.
one of the other things, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when they provide the estimate, they're not providing the estimate as the low bidder. They're taking an aggregate of pricing. So ideally, you're hoping that your bids are going to come in less. So if we wait till spring, I think we're in existing conditions. We're fine up there. We're managing the parking with what's there. And then pricing in the spring, we don't know. Oil is so susceptible to oil prices when it comes to that. You don't know what the market's going to do. So they're, pricing, labor continues for. We don't know. Just don't know. But I think that Tom mentioned the conditions of these bids at this time of year. I think that we have a good, reasonable shot of coming in below that estimate.
Yeah, my fear is we come back in the spring and we've waited and now the prices, the numbers go up. But hearing your professional opinion, and I know the fact that we are well above what we initially set aside, I struggle with moving forward. Though I hear you, Ms. White. I mean, the idea that there's a need there. We all trying to address the parking challenges that we have on the north end. That's exactly why we're sitting here. But I think we have, my perspective on it is, if we can get this to a number that's much closer to what we thought it would be, or the BME estimate, in the spring, then I lean towards waiting personally. Question, I guess, with the BME estimate, guys, is the 334, is that including the FMC piece?
No, that was just the parking lot improvements in the bio retention areas.
And bid one, the LG Evans bid, that 391 or 389?
Yep.
That does or does not include FMC?
No, that the 389 was their bid, and the addendum added to make it 391 for the utility trenching that we asked. them to provide for FMC. So,
There's 55,000.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that clarity, my suggestion would be to maybe creatively think about other ways we can help those businesses in the meantime, but hold off until we are not dealing with make me take that job bids.
Right. And it'd be nice to see some folks who normally do the work in our area on there. I think it makes such a difference when you're communicating with the contractors who you're used to working with, and things come up, you
Massive,
know.
who did the last project, by the way, did not submit it. Pretty Jewish for that.
And time, things come up when stuff's happening and need to kind of go out, figure stuff out on site. I think the time crunch impairs that too. Like, what if something occurs while they're doing site work that we didn't anticipate? We need to figure something out, problem solve a little bit before we go forward. And we would have to make decisions so quickly on the fly to stay within our weather crunch that it would impair our ability to maybe think creatively and cost effectively as this project's happening sometimes. And I don't know what would come up, but I noticed
It's-
things,
You never know
things
what's
do.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
Did the call for bid say like completion by December 31st,
December 1st.
December 1st?
Yeah. They were within 5 days of notice to proceed, they would start, but the completion date was, end date was December 1st. This was the timeline.
And maybe there's more thought to put in general, so whether we do it like Rob had mentioned, with the numbers being so high.
Was there a way we can, some of the testing that might make a more informed or accurate bid, is there a way we can get ahead of that? Or is that far from the norm?
No, it's not. I mean, you could essentially, you could perform a couple of test bits in that area, dig down to see what you're getting into. And I think some additional clarification form or giving them maybe more defined numbers would allow their bid to be brought down in the specific miscellaneous items, based on any exploratory that you might choose.
And a couple of test bits would allow you to quantify it.
Correct.
Or better.
Or better, yes. Yeah. The previous parking lot expansion, we had some geotechnical to rely on, so we kind of knew what we were getting into. It's not know
Yeah, the
what's
test
out
bits,
there.
yeah.
I think that scares them a little bit.
Right.
So, but I think also, to Kevin's point, if you're going to hold this off till spring, it's a key to get it out in February, whatever, to them to bid on. That way they know and they can plan ahead.
Is it too early to say now, can you bid on this for the spring? If they know, just, would that be able to give us better numbers? We're like,
No, I think if it gave us time to, like I said, evaluate maybe some of that unknown that's in that
yeah,
couple items, and then resubmit out the bid while it's fresh, that's
maybe we
not,
get some of the folks we're used to getting in.
that you would probably see the list, the 5 that we typically see in this area that didn't bid,
Yeah,
give it a shot.
right.
I can tell you that 4 of those already said, if something happens, please let us know. We would love to do the winter and spring.
Okay.
So,
And how much will the testing and the evaluation of the existing lot, that sort of analysis take that would
I
potentially?
think for this and what we need, Fred, maybe I'll speak more, but in my mind, it's just a couple test bits just to get an idea, identify, what's below there.
It's still
Yeah.
Phil
Yeah.
saying, so they're, so short of a full.
If it's got C&D material in it, or, we don't know. I don't want to say because I want to put it out here. But
Yeah, I think one of the top button where it ends up on the plans is debris, and a contractor says that's C&D, and that
That's a
could
whole
be
nother,
a $10,000 item or a $80,000 item. Where am I pushing it?
right.
So yeah, I mean that's maybe getting into the trenches a little bit more is on what the debris consists of, and giving them a bit more of an explanation.
I don't think it's a big overhaul. I really don't, based on the parking lot expansion itself, size. So it's too much just to get some clarification to it.
Yeah.
That would help ease their mind in reducing some of those because the rest of the numbers, and if that, things are gonna change a little bit depending on how they get with their manufacturers, how they get their stuff, and what they have in their yards or whatever, but they got that all looked, good. The pavement's an unknown, as Kevin said, we all know if gas prices go up, oil prices go up, pipe goes up, paving goes up, but getting them locked into a number early on
Yeah.
is a big.
Might help that.
But it's not an unheard of thing for a contractor to bid in October, November.
No, they prefer it, to be honest with you, they can
They can plan their
schedule
spring.
things out
Right.
accordingly. So,
Another benefit, I think, is by putting this off till spring, it will allow us to think of some other funding opportunities. Can we get partners in this? Can we work some of those things out? Allow us to do that. So we're not, spending all of our money, only our money to get this project accomplished. So I think that, if we work at that, maybe we're able to come up with some funding partners. So I'm kind of feeling consensus here. Anybody got anything that you want to?
No, I mean, to Les's point, I mean, we are kind of like, I feel like we're going into the low season, right? We're past festival and event season. Hopefully the worry will lessen over the winter about the pressure
Use
part.
of the market.
And then give us, I agree that it gives us time to advocate with the village, planning board, other partners.
So, any motion out there to reject the bids as submitted?
I would move to reject the bids as submitted, wait till spring, or resubmit.
I would, yeah. Reject the bids, I think, is for the purpose of this. A second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. So thanks, guys, for the effort.
Thank you.
We know it's disappointing when we put something out there and it doesn't happen.
But it's not dead yet.
It's not dead.
I appreciate the
Yeah.
input though.
But yeah, we'll
This
get
was really
with,
helpful.
we'll get with you guys on exploratory stuff.
yeah, I think that's something that we can do. That's relatively easy and quick.
Shorter bids.
Yeah.
Geotech.
How meaningful is the data that we would have from the first portion that we did as well? I mean, I'm thinking just feet away. Is there data points from when that project was undertaken that could be repurposed?
The majority of that data, I believe, were pavement cores, of the existing pavement that was out there, and that's what we were looking at, just to basically design what we were doing, do a full strip of the existing parking lot, or try to capture and reuse some of the existing pavement that was out there. So that was the intent of that first geotech, was strictly cores. So
Got it. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Okay,
Thank
thanks. Is there any other business? For the
Thank you.
IDA? Thanks, guys.
Have a good day.
Any other, does anyone have any other IDA business?
It's just expanding on this. Do we want to talk on in our standard meeting in regards to what next steps we might take regarding partners or?
Yeah, I think we do. And a couple of things in play here that we have some ideas that might be able to work. But some setback news on that later. But I'm not ready to share publicly at this point. And so, but yeah, I think there's some things that could possibly happen that we can put ourselves on. Is that everyone?
It sounds like an agenda.
It will be an agenda for public session. Perfect. Anything else, anyone? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everyone, for taking time out of your work schedule.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah,
Mornings
boy,
are easy.